Let's move over to Pixar's latest release. It's called Turning Red. I've had a chance to see it. I've got your review right now. I've actually been able to see Turning Red a couple of times already. I wanted to, kind of explore some of the themes and some of the emotions that the movie brought out in me. I'm a huge fan of Pixar. I'm also an enormous fan of the craftsmanship that went into this to kind of steer this title to be a Canadian adventure. I think that is such a fantastic idea. Domee Shi is the director on this movie, and she previously did Bao with Pixar. She's been there for about 10 years, but she's a Chinese-Canadian artist that has been working in this field for a very long time and wanted to craft something deeply personal with Turning Red. So we've heard about this movie for a while. It's been in production for a long time, as all the Pixar movies are, and it's incredibly exciting that Maitreyi, our main character, is a Toronto citizen. She rides the cable cars in Toronto, and she's got a bunch of buds that are all big fans of this boy band, Four Town, that's coming to Toronto, and they are just over the moon excited to finally see these performers live. This is a character, Maitreyi is a character, along with her friends, that is growing up and going through changes, and so this movie is really an allegory for a kid becoming a teenager and adolescence coming, and Turning Red can mean a bunch of different things. I think there's some subtlety in the titling there, but we see this character has this ability to become this giant red panda, and she doesn't quite know why this is happening to her, and in the course of the movie she has a massive freak out, and she's trying to figure out how is she going to contend with this, and how is she going to be able to go through life as a normal kid going to school when she has this this thing inside of her that's erupting to get out and become this giant monster that is going to freak out everybody. Her parents try to give her a helping hand with all of this stuff, and of course the movie dives deeper into exactly what's happening here. And I thought there was some really, really clever elements to kind of tie this to what a normal teenager would go through, and how out of place a lot of us feel as we're transitioning towards adulthood. And so this is a movie with some pretty interesting complexities and some, emotional resonance, as all Pixar movies have. And I thought that the movie was really well made. It's beautiful. It certainly has, this eclectic, over-the-top animation style. I do have to say, though, that it didn't hit me with the emotional sort of punch that I got out of Luca and out of Soul most recently. I do think that, this is a movie that's going to mean different things to different people out there. I couldn't have anything but, immense pride and joy over the fact that it's set in Toronto. Like, I'm not a citizen of Toronto, so I don't know all of the details of the city, but I have a feeling that a lot of the people that love the city and live in the city are going to just freak out over all of the cool little details and touches that are in there. But you see the cityscape, you see the cable cars. Maitreyi goes to Lester B. Pearson's school, and she wears Canadiana iconography on her all the time. She's got a Canadian flag t-shirt and little Canadian flag toque, and all of the citizens that she talks to and the teachers that she talks to have Canadian-leaning accents. There might be a little French-Canadian stuff in there as well. I loved all of that. I thought that there was some real joy in there, and I don't want to spoil too much about where I think the movie goes off the rails a bit for me, but I kind of wish that it's adhered a little bit more to the reality of Maitreyi's situation. I feel like this gets crazy fantastical, as a lot of Pixar movies do, but I thought that there was some really cool honesty there. This is a character that wants to do good by her parents. She feels like she's got a responsibility to them, and she's an A student, and she does well on all of her tests, and there's just this great deal of responsibility and respect that this character has, and is also shown by the other characters out there. The kids all feel like she's a little bit too much of a goody two-shoes, but as she starts to act out a little bit, the character becomes super interesting, and then layered on top of that is this crazy fantastical element, which I feel if you're working at Pixar, that's kind of your bread and butter, is to kind of give us the familiar and then go over the top with some crazy animation. Otherwise, why make it an animated movie? I get all that. But I felt like there was some really wonderful honesty and some truth in this, this preteen becoming a teen and dealing with that, dealing with her emotions and dealing with, her desires and also her constraints and frustrations with how she's going to, sort of follow these dreams and also not let down her parents and let down her history and her heritage and stuff. So there is a lot to enjoy in this movie for sure, and it absolutely should be seen. It's coming to Disney Plus on March 11th, and I encourage you to make up your own mind with this film. It's just hard for me not to compare this to previous Pixar movies, and some of them are absolute out-and-out masterpieces like Up or Wall-E, and some I just loved immensely because I got something out of it, like Luca. I'm just such an enormous fan of Italy. I adored that movie, and I love jazz, and I love New York City, and so Soul really connected with me as well. And so I love the Canadian stuff, and I like the beauty of this adolescent story and the sort of predicaments that Mei gets into. But it got a little too crazy and fantastical. And the other thing too is I wasn't crazy about the music, which was kind of insane to me because I love Billie Eilish. I think she's a phenomenal performer, and she's writing music for this movie along with her brother. And Ludwig Göransson also is a composer in this film, and I've been loving his work in, obviously The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett. He did the soundtrack to Tenet, and that's an incredible soundtrack. But I just wasn't blown away by the score or the musical numbers that were in Turning Red. I didn't love this one, and I was a little bit kind of shocked that I didn't. I thought it was good, but on the sort of Pixar scale of things, I feel like good is not quite their sort of pedigree. It's not quite what I expect from them. I usually get great to fantastic or masterpiece. I still think it's worth seeing, and especially if you're a Canadian fan of Pixar and animation, I think you're going to find a lot to love in there. But it gets a surprising 7 out of 10 from me.